turn that on. I'd like to call the regular council meeting for February 27th to order, please. Council, we have a motion to adopt the minutes of the special, regular, and committee of the whole from the 14th, please. Councillor Peak, thank you. Councillor Barkle, thank you. All in favor? Motion carried. Do you have any changes to the agenda at all?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I have no changes.
We have a motion to adopt the agenda as is, please. Councillor Holmes, Councillor Boot. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. No hearings this evening. Delegations. We have Ogopogo Valley Tours this evening. Mr. Sweet, I believe. Is that correct? Would you like to come forward, please?
Go ahead.
Yep, go ahead, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor Waterman and Council. We are Adonica and Darren Sweet of Ogopogo Valley Tours, based in Summerland and featuring tours of Summerland. Thank you for allowing us to make this presentation. We began operations in 2015. We've guided hundreds of guests to local Summerland businesses, safely transported guests to and from events, and donated services to multiple local charities. We operate the first hybrid tour vehicle in the Okanagan, and recently Green Tourism Canada awarded us with a silver award for sustainability and corporate social responsibility. Our tours often feature certified organic and biodynamic farms, and we look forward to stopping at the future Summerland Community Solar Gardens. Our emissions have been audited and carbon credits purchased, and we're proud to announce that we've just become carbon neutral, backdated to when we launched in 2015. And based on our research, we are likely the first carbon neutral wine tour or land tour company in Canada. There's a whale watching company, but we request your input and support for our application to the Passenger Transportation Board, or PTB. PTB licenses all vehicles in BC transporting people for compensation. We currently hold a general authorization license. That's the technical term for our 14-passenger van and our 4-guest hybrid sedan. Both vehicles, we can do what's called carrier-directed tours. They're scheduled. They can't be customized. We run on a schedule. Certain days we go to certain stops. We can pick up at central points and accommodation, but we cannot pick up at residence, and that's a hitching point for us. In addition, we offer what's called passenger-directed tours, where the passenger decides where we go. That includes pickups from home and a guest choosing, I'd like to go to that winery, that brewery, I'd like to stop for the bathroom, that kind of thing. So what we're applying for is, our licensing gets tricky. Our large van can do any of the services that I just mentioned. Our 4-passenger sedan and another vehicle that we're looking at would require special authorization, and that's what we're applying for and asking for a letter of support from the city. We believe there's sufficient market in the Summerland and Penticton area to absorb this application. In total, we'll have 29 seats for passengers this summer. 14 are exempt from special authorization, so we're only talking about 15 seats, which can do a portion of our business, so it amounts to an upgrade to those 15 seats is what we're applying to the government for. The key thing that it will allow is pickups from home, and one of the features of our tour company is we don't want people to drive home after. So the central point is, if that's where they are, that's where we'll pick them up. But we prefer to pick you up at your home or accommodation so that you're done driving for the day when we get back, when we're done the tour. We would be pleased to receive any input that the council may offer and hope to further discuss meeting transportation gaps that are known in the Summerland area. And at council's discretion, we request a letter of support for our application for these additional services that would cover our hybrid sedan and a future vehicle. And I'd just like to give a quick example, and then if you have any questions, we'll be available to answer them. We volunteered our services for Feast of Farms in the fall. We were pleased to do so. We used our van. We gave, at no charge, we donated our services. So by donation, we transported both guests and some staff to the event. And then after the event and after dinner and after some bottleneck drive wine, all of those guests got safe ride homes one at a time to their individual residence so that no one drove. We had a jar, we collected a few donations, and that was additional funds for the Feast of Farm. We used our one vehicle. We could have used our hybrid sedan had we had this licensing. Our one vehicle just did it. Next year won't do it. Feast of Farms will be bigger. We're talking to other charities about other events, and this licensing is required for us to be able to use our hybrid sedan and a new Mercedes high-top van that we're looking at for this type of customized events. Thank you for your time.
May I
Thank you.
add one thing?
Oh,
One of our proposed services is also transportation to the airport, and we just actually consulted with the Kelowna Airport, and we're authorized to pick up and drop off there now if we have the actual special authorization licensing to be able to do that. So we've cleared that for ourselves as well. We can do it in the van anyway, but it would allow us to have it in the smaller vehicles.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions, Council? Councillor Holmes?
Thank you. I like your proposal, what you're
you.
planning to do. I guess the government's concern is that there's not unfair competition to taxi companies.
right. So what the Passenger Transportation Board, like other branches of the government do, is they're protecting the existing industry, and they welcome a new entry, but first we need to prove support from the city, and then they will also look at, is there any resistance from other companies, or would we be displacing much business from other companies to the degradation of the transportation services in the area.
Anybody else? Councillor Peak?
I'm pleased to hear that you're looking to do transportation to the airports as well. I think expanded service within the area would be welcomed, and I'm pleased to see a new business doing as well as you are. Thank you for coming forward.
Thank you.
Councillor Boot?
I'd just like to add to the comments that Councillor Holmes and Councillor Peak have just stated in saying that, and we heard this from Darren and Donica. This is a company that has taken the sustainability thing and run with it. And you said one of two companies in all of Canada that potentially will be offering this sustainable service. I think that this is great. I understand that we can't.
That's for you. That's for you.
Kind of pick and choose one business over another, but I see this as something that complements what we have here in Summerland and in the South Okanagan rather than competitive.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
May I add something to what Tony said?
Pardon me?
May I add something to what
Go
Tony
ahead.
said?
Of course.
We're a company who actually really likes to work with other tour companies, so we have contacts in Oliver and Soyuz, and we'll make referrals to them. So we're really hoping to really work with the other tour companies and refer back and forth for what's going to make the best options for our guests.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, Council, what is your wish with respect to the resolution or the motion, please? Councillor Holmes.
I'll move that Okopogo Valley Tours Inc. be provided with a letter in support of their application to the province's passenger transport branch for a special authorization license for the purchase and operation of a vehicle with less than 12 seats to transport people.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Boot, thank you. Any further discussion? Pretty straightforward. All in favor?
Could I just ask one question about the resolution?
Yeah.
Is that adequate? I don't know if I can address.
Yep. Go ahead.
Is that adequate, less than 12 seats to transport people, or does it have to be more specific than that? What you were talking about picking people up from their residences.
Animals.
Does that have to be included in the resolution, or does it Is that understood?
That would be ideal, and also it's more than just simply the purchase of a vehicle, because we have the existing hybrid as well, so it's actually both.
So if I could add,
Right.
the resolution, if that's the right term, it very adequately covers the additional van that we're looking at. I'm not sure if that wording adequately covers the sedan that we have for additional license. I have a few words that could be amended to that.
It does talk about the operation of a vehicle to transport persons, so I don't think that they have to be taken together, that it has to necessarily refer to the one that's purchased versus a different one.
Maybe if it said vehicles, it would probably be fine.
So purchase and operation of vehicles?
I think that would cover it.
Jeremy, was it, who is it that took the background information on this one?
That's me.
So you reviewed the application,
I received the letter.
so you feel that this is general enough?
Yeah, I think it's accurate.
I don't mind making a friendly amendments to
Okay.
make it plural rather than
Okay,
singular.
sure. Sounds simple.
Yep.
Okay, we had a seconder? Yes, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous, motion's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, now we come to our public comment opportunity. 15 minutes for speakers from the public, at 2 minutes per speaker to any highlighted issue in the agenda. And that has been brought to our attention. We may have been a little sloppy with that in the past. In fact, I think we were, going over quite a bit with respect to, at times, what people had to say. But given that we've got usually a fairly heavy schedule, we'll keep to the 2 minutes per speaker, and I'll let you know when the time frame is coming to a close. But it'll just be for, the timing will be strictly for the speakers, and it'll be on top, any comments or responses by council or staff will be on top of that 15 minutes. So is there anybody from the public that would like to speak to any highlighted item in the agenda? Okay. Doesn't look like there is. Thank you very much. We'll move to my report. Last week I had the opportunity to attend the BC Mayor's Caucus in Victoria. We were able to discuss issues that need focus for this fall's UBCM convention. Essentially, we identified 5 areas of advocacy which were the primary focus of the mayors that attended. The highest on the list was the need for infrastructure, investment in infrastructure, and the maintenance of the present formula, which is a relatively new approach of 50% from the federal government, 30% from provincial, and 17% from municipal sources. It used to be a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So this is definitely an advantage for municipalities, and we would certainly urge government levels to maintain that. This was followed by the inability of municipalities to finance projects due to the limited sources of funding. Many communities are in Summerland's position with a very high proportion of taxes coming from residential and limited industrial taxation. In other jurisdictions, there are other income sources for towns and cities, and BC municipalities need creative thinking to go beyond property tax. And that's what we'll be urging the UBCM to look at their meetings this fall, and to approach government for some creative ways that perhaps municipalities can raise funds. Because essentially what's happened over the years is we've received substantial downloading, and so we've got additional costs that perhaps weren't there before, and no additional way to raise funds. The funding of protective services was also high on the list. It's difficult for many smaller communities to maintain the required level of response at a reasonable cost. Affordable housing cuts across the province, and it must be incentivized and supported. Rental housing needs to be retained and expanded. This subject is critical and needs a strong voice at UBCM. In municipalities like Summerland, it's particularly acute, particularly when the lack of appropriate housing is linked to inadequate transit options. Another area of concern, which was actually down the list, was climate change mitigation efforts, but they certainly need continued support. 50% of British Columbia municipalities have hit their reduction targets since signing on to the Climate Action Charter. It was stressed that municipalities must maintain their independence of setting local goals and local decision-making at our own municipal level. And a number of years ago, I guess it's probably 4 years ago, I think, Summerland made a change in what happens to our credits, et cetera. We actually received the money back to our municipality to allocate that funding to climate change mitigation options for our community. The Mayor's Caucus itself is seen as an important lobby route for a select number of critical issues that will be pressed at the UBCM. The other thing that we're heading into, other than which everybody is aware of, is the water shutoff this coming weekend, is that over the next number of weeks, Council will be dealing with some detailed budget discussions. And that's my report. CAO.
Okay, I think that I just need to say a little bit more about the water shut-off. I know council is all pretty aware of it, but just to go over it, the boil water notice went into effect today as we begin the starting of the project. We are recommending that residents and businesses drink stored and bottled water, but in the absence of that, boiling for at least a minute is sufficient. There's been some question about the excavation at the Wharton site and why it's there. People that didn't have the opportunity to attend the information center session asked about it, so it'll become quite clear, I think, on Friday night as it starts filling with water, but that'll be Friday night. Most residents won't see or likely won't see or feel any difference in their taps. We'll be starting to load the system on Thursday with the water from the Garnet Valley and the Summerland system. So it'll be so as the water drains, the other water will be coming through. So there may be some, as we talked about before, changes in pressures, but if everything goes well, the big message that anyone that you're talking to that you can talk about is, even if you're getting the water out of your taps and aren't seeing too much difference, it is a time to conserve water, and that if everybody can just do less laundry or use water if they don't use water if they don't have to, it'll make a difference. The using the water will have more of an impact than it would normally, and we just want to make sure that we do have enough water for the minimums. So the communication center is set to start on Saturday and Sunday between 9 and 3, and that's so that anyone who doesn't have the internet or wants to talk to a person, it'll be manned. Staff are volunteering their time in assistance from some of the counselors to make sure that there's someone there with up-to-date information. As you know, Nestor's donated 300 cases of water to the community. And so that's how we're going to distribute that water, is just on a first-come, first-served basis to anyone that comes down to the communication center.
So where's the communication center going to be?
At the Aquatic Center.
Aquatic Center, okay.
So between 9 and 3 on Monday. And anyone that has any questions, that will be a good place just to come down to. There's a phone number that's been on the publications that we have dedicated for questions. So. And then there's some good news stories about amongst this. So I'll just say that Interior Health Authority has been working extremely closely with the district on many different levels, and very closely with the businesses and the care homes in our community. And they have provided the district their full support. They engaged an independent engineering firm to do a peer review of all of our plans and all of our assumptions, and we had a conference call, and it was confirmed by all parties that it should go as expected, that they concur with our conclusions. There's also been really good community support. There's the Water Angels program, which is Kaylee Hall, our community development coordinator, is facilitating the program, but the Summerland Steam and the Boy Scouts will be doing a lot of the background work if we do get calls for people that need assistance in getting some water. And we've just had a lot of the businesses, I think, in town have really done a lot to prepare and to understand what they need to do to be able to operate as regular. So many of them are opening as always. So the biggest thing too, there's signs up, but we've sent these out to all the mailboxes. Some mailboxes don't get them. We have an ad in the paper which is full page. We've tried to get the message out. We're going to do some public service announcements to try to get it on the radio. The key thing right now is that people know that it's boiled water now. And so any help that you can give in distributing the message is good as well. So that's the water program, and we're hoping that by the time we're here next, we'll just be talking about what a success it was. Three other quick things. The Garnet Valley project, in amongst this PRV 10, we're forgetting how big the Garnet Valley project it started up again last week on Jones Flat. It's continuing this week and hopefully moving to Garnet Road next week. We did have any time that you do see something that's needs some attention. We had an incident where the road was getting into some pretty poor shape, and we were notified, and the contractors did mitigate, hopefully, that situation. So just give us a call if you notice anything there. We have our second budget meeting tomorrow night. We're going to be focusing on an overview of capital tomorrow night, and then after tomorrow, the next session after tomorrow, we'll be pulling the operations discussion from the other day and the capital into a proposed actual budget. And we had the solar conversation event last week, which was extremely successful and has generated, what I want to tell council was that it generated a great deal of interest, and we've been, Tammy and I met this afternoon, and we've been getting quite a bit of correspondence and questions and interaction subsequent to that event. So something more will be coming forward to council for next steps in the next month.
Good.
And that's it.
That's it. Thank you, Councillor Holmes.
Could I just ask clarification regarding the water shutoff? There's a bit of confusion, I think, about the conserving the water. When is it? It's just on the weekend that we really need to focus on conserving water. Right now, when it's just the boil water,
Good point.
It's not really that.
That's right. As a matter of fact, on Friday night, the more water you use, probably the better in draining the system. But it is during that week. It's when we're being fed. So just Saturday and Sunday. Good point.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, thank you. No unfinished business in there? Okay. On to correspondence. Anything from correspondence? Councillor Barkwell.
Yes, I'd like to note a letter from Bill Atkinson concerning bird cannons and requesting that the district do something about this. And I'd note that bird cannons and such are squarely in the domain of the Farm Industry Review Board. And it's nothing that the municipality can really have any influence over. The Farm Industry Review Board expects that operators of the cannon operate them in a normal farm practice, which would mean if the birds are only there in the morning, you only have the cannon there for a few hours in the morning and evening, and don't blast all day, things like that. So I suppose this information will be transmitted to Mr. Atkinson. He doesn't seem to be aware of FIRB.
It does fall under the right to farm legislation. In addition, when it comes to placement of cannons,
Yes.
there are specifications as to how they must be placed. And for example, if there are, some directional aspect with hay bales, etc., to mitigate the sound. I have personal experience with waiting for the click, as you probably have too. When you're out in an orchard and you hear the click, something's happening really quickly. So in terms of the cannon going off, I'm not you know, I really don't like them too much, but they are protected under their right to farm. Anything else? Councillor Peak?
Yes, if I may, I'd like to bring forward the letter from Jerry Flaman. He speaks about the solar conversation and how effective he felt that was and well attended and successful. But he did have some comments that I thought are worth noting, and I hope that some of them in terms of regulations and restrictions on solar installations and permitting and how we have a process to do that is more invitational and more streamlined is something that we can move forward on a much more efficient basis as we look to other plans around solar.
I think we're headed in that direction pretty firmly, as a matter of fact, so
Right.
that's something Tammy's looking after to make sure that we're making it easy for, you know, homeowners in the application process, et cetera. Am I correct?
Staff is, it's been in
Staff, yeah,
progress for a
yeah.
while now, so we should be rolling out. We have another meeting coming up, so that will be rolled
Yeah,
out.
we want to kind of make sure everything is as simple as it can be for people to make use of potential solar. Go ahead.
Definitely, and if I might also speak to the correspondence regarding the invasive mussels, I think that we need to support increased and continued funding regarding the opportunities that we can to stop any opportunities for the mussels to actually get into our lakes. I think that's very important.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Someone like to bring a motion forward, please, to receive? Councillor Booth, seconder. Councillor Peak, all in favor? Thank you. It's carried. Excuse me. Okay, on to 10.2, commission minutes. Who's handling that? Is that Jeremy? CL? Just need a
You
motion
just-
to receive?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, could I have a mover, please? Councillor Carlson, thank you. Councillor Holmes?
And then for the rest, then just ask me.
Yeah, okay. All in favor? Thank you. Passed. Okay, moving on to development services reports. 11.1,
And we'll turn that over to Mr. Strachan.
thank you.
Thank you. As noted, we have a development variance permit application for 14208 Spencer Avenue. The variance application is to, reduce the front yard setback from 6.0 meters to 4.8 meters, a reduction of 1.2 meters, in order to allow them to construct a new front entry on an existing house. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Is a proponent here would like to speak to it? Hearing none? Okay. Questions of the planner? Councillor Peak.
Have we received any correspondence from any of the neighbors regarding this application?
We did not receive any letters.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, would someone like to bring that motion forward, please? Councillor Peak?
That the development variance application for Lot 4, DL 3640 ODYD Plan KAP 7830 at 14208 Spencer Avenue to vary Section 10.1.6A of the zoning bylaw 2004-50 to reduce the minimum front setback from 6.0 meter to 4.8 meter be approved.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson? Any further discussion? Hearing none? Okay. All in favor? Motion carries. None opposed. Thank you very much. Moving on to 11.2, Mr. Strachan.
The next application is an environmentally sensitive development permit application. This is for a property that's part of our Capital Works program. We're constructing a facility there, and adjacent to it, there's a proposal for an excavation to level out the ground behind the facility and install a retaining wall. And we're using this private property as part of that construction and leveling out the ground, which is within the sensitive area requiring the DP. Thank you.
So this is something we're doing, and it's sort of a request of ourselves.
It is our project, however, it is on private property, so the development permit applies to it.
I see. Okay, thank you. Any questions? The planner? Someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Barkmo?
That the development permit application proposed for lot 015 ODYD Plan KAP-183, District Lot 479, located at 19006 Garnet Valley Road be approved.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson? Any further discussion? Okay, none. All in favor? Thank you. None opposed. It's carried. Moving on to 11.3, federal incentives for the rehab of Canada's historic places. CAL?
Well,
Was it-
continue with.
Oh, still going with Mr. Strachan?
Thank you. The proposal here is to send a letter to our MP in regards to heritage incentive grant opportunities that the federal government is proposing. The suggestion or the recommendation is to send a letter supporting this program and its continuation in the future.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Peak?
This is a taxation opportunity then. Is it a credit towards tax incentives for those that might be working on heritage buildings?
My understanding is it's a tax credit, a federal income tax credit that can be applied if you have a heritage program or a heritage building that's been approved and had works conducted on it.
Oh, I see, okay.
Thank you. I think that could be most effective.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, someone like to bring that one forward, please? Councillor Carlson?
I will move that the District of Summerland send a letter to the local MP Dan Elvis in support of Bill C-323, an act to amend the Income Tax Act Rehabilitation of Historic Property, a private member's bill to create tax credits for historic places.
Thank you. Seconder, please? Councillor Peak, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I think we need to somehow get away from this thinking that owning a heritage property is somehow a bad thing, and it's a good thing, and if it takes a tax credit, I'm all for it. So.
How old does it have to be to?
Older than you.
Older than me? Oh, I was thinking of my own house. Okay, we had a seconder? Yes, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Strachan again, 11.4, Freshwater Fisheries Society of BC, the trout hatchery issue.
Thank you. Yes, we've received a letter dated February 24th from the Freshwater Fisheries Society of BC. This is in relation to the 13610 Banks Crescent application and some concerns that were brought forward as part of the process from the society that runs the hatchery. And we've had a meeting with them on February 17th, discussed some of those concerns as well as went through some of the reporting that's been provided by the applicant, as well as some of the review that took place by their own professionals, and resulting in the letter that you have before you. It identifies three key components, one being a alternative water source. The suggestion for that water source is a well service. The hatchery has indicated that their other facilities in British Columbia utilize a well format, so this is something that they're familiar with. The second component of it is monitoring. This is not just the monitoring wells that are monitoring sediment, but also at the wellhead, as well as the sediment and erosion control plan for the construction site. Our engineer has already done a review of that. And there'd be further review and further details that would come forward as part of that plan. And what they're looking for is assurances that the district would be reviewing that plan as a part of their standard review to complete that piece. The fourth item that you'll see listed there is the request that all of these items be completed in advance of construction beginning on site. In our report to council, we review some of those components as well as provide some background information on the different pieces of information we would now go forward and seek in relation to infrastructure pieces such as the sanitary system, the water system, of course the road system, as well as completing the engineering components for the site, including the erosion sediment control plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, could you just tell me how you go about exploring for alternative well water sources? What is the process of doing that? And how, I guess, what kind of locations do you look around?
Okay, Mr. Strachan.
It's a very good question. It was one of the first questions I had when I heard about an alternative being a well. There was 2 reports completed by Golder and Associates a number of years ago that they're using as base data, but there is more data required. This is more related to the means for addressing the water concern, more so than the actual way it's going to be done. They have 2 well sites that they identified, and they provided that initial data for those well sites. But we certainly need a lot more information about what those locations are, as well as the hatchery itself has their own criteria that are going to have to be met by that water. So its volume as well as its quality. So there's a process that's going to take place, engineers talking to engineers to ensure that that's what takes place. The exact location of the wells, I think that needs to yet to be determined.
Councillor Barco.
So from your report, I would infer that you're fairly confident that the applicant and the fisheries people and their respective engineers will be able to work this out, and that it's worthwhile for you then to spend time on other aspects because there's a high confidence in that the Fisheries Society will be satisfied?
Mayor, I think it's more that we have now a means to potentially satisfy those concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that we have a high assurance that it will. We now know a way that could be done, but there's more data that needs to be collected. We're not suggesting that this is now closed off as an issue. It's just that now we have a means to move forward on this particular issue, which was identified as being something that was critical in Council's resolution. So now we're proposing to move forward with not just this, but the rest of the work that needs to be done. There definitely are still hurdles to be made over before there's a full information package for Council to consider. But this provides the preliminary means in order to get there.
So you wouldn't you wouldn't move forward with the other aspects of the proposal without a feeling confidence that they will be able to work out what the fisheries people require, I presume. I mean, there's no point spending a lot of time on road studies if it's unlikely that a satisfactory well will be found and such. And so the engineers and the fisheries people are all optimistic?
Yes, I think they're cautiously optimistic,
Yeah,
I would
okay.
say. There's still detailed information that needs to come forward,
Yeah.
not just for fisheries, but also for the district in a number of different components. But the key piece of this is that there's a means to get there now. The alternate water source, the well source, as well as the wells that'll monitor the groundwater, and then the control of sediment on the site.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Peak.
Yes, this report is highly detailed. I was very pleased to see that. I understand the applicant is willing to work forward with the hatchery and the district in addressing these concerns. The opportunity for third-party review, I make note, I believe is a very important component, and my practice where I come from was that would be a very automatic thing, and I would like to see a possibility of looking forward to that on future applications, because I think third-party review is important. So I'd like to see that as something that could be implemented on an ongoing basis, not on a one-off. But I was pleased to see this report come forward, and I'm interested in seeing it worked.
Mr. Strachan.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, third-party review is particularly when you have a complex, specific engineering or studies that are being completed, having that third party who's a specialist in that area review it is of good value. Our engineer has already engaged professionals to do that review, which is part of the standard process with a major project to review not just the geotechnical components and the site engineering from the physical ground, but also looking at the transportation plans, looking at the designs for the infrastructure, just to ensure that we have all the pieces that we need moving forward.
If I may, a subsequent. And who pays for the third-party review?
Who pays for
The district would pay for our professional development.
third-party review? Okay.
If I may, again, in reference to the fact of doing this work for a lot of years, if it's incorporated in the policies or whatever support the kind of development permits or the development is rezonings that are required, then it becomes incumbent on the developer, the proponent of the application, to pay for those third-party reviews. And I would like to see that come forward as a possible discussion. Not particularly in this application, because it is already en route, but for future applications.
Yeah, that's for further and future policy review, of course. Any other questions? Okay, good. And I guess basically, Mr. Strachan, your report is essentially based on the letters from Mr. Girgan from Freshwater Fisheries and Mr. Munn, the consultant?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, could I have a motion brought forward, please? Councillor Holmes.
Move that the letter dated February 24th, 2017 from the Freshwater Fisheries Society of BC be received.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Carlson. Thank you very much. Councillor Carlson.
I have a question with regards to the list of 7 items that will continue to be additionally studied and reviewed. I note the next item on our agenda is in regards to the PIB and a conversation that perhaps should be taking place as this process goes forward. I'm wondering if that should be brought into this list at this time, or if it should be added after we discuss.
I think it
The
needs
next
to
item.
be, needs to be considered as an item if necessary after we've dealt with that. But CAO may have a comment.
Right, I think that list that's here is not necessarily an all-inclusive list, and that those conversations would be happening. I think that will come evident
Okay.
in the next one, but that list is not necessarily an all-inclusive list.
Thank you.
Okay, we had a seconder on, Councillor Booth.
Could I just make a friendly amendment to that resolution?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just have to find it again first. Okay, so it says that the letter dated February 24th, 2017, Freshwater Fisheries Society received. Can I would like to request an amendment that resolution also includes the email from Matthew Munn, their consultant, dated the same date. Because I think the two are important.
I think
they're
it's-
both recognized.
I think it's assumed that because it's formed part of Mr. Strachan's report, that was how it was arrived at and used. Councillor, Mr. Strachan?
Yes, the letter from Freshwater Fisheries references the attached email. So it's actually
Okay.
part and parcel to the same
So it
document.
includes both of those
Yes.
pieces of correspondence. Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
thank you for the question, actually. Okay, all in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, 11.5, Mr. Strachan?
So this is a second report before you in relation to 13610 Banks Crescent. This one is in reference to a letter that was received from the Penticton Indian Band. The letter is included within your package. The resolutions or the recommendations that have been provided to council include receiving this letter, as well as for staff to continue to work with the regional district referral working group. So this is a group that's had nine meetings now in regards to referrals to First Nations, as well as it's a recommendation that staff also contact the Penticton Indian Band directly, especially their natural resource department, attempt to have some discussions in regard. We've made some phone calls to them already, but have yet to make direct contact. Of note in this particular report, we did reach out to some of our other municipalities in this area. Penticton is referenced directly in the report. They were the first ones we spoke to. On development applications, Penticton does not send out referrals to the Penticton Indian Band. When they do send out referrals, it's when you have major planning exercises that are being undertaken in the community, such as OCP updates or OCP reviews, or neighborhood plans with large greenfield areas that are in close to their boundaries, or where there's identified archaeological features. There's contacts that are made in that context. When we contacted Osoyoos, they're in the same program. They don't send referral out on development applications on private property. The one that was a little different was Oliver, because they actually use the regional district's planning services. So they don't change their program as the regional district, so they do send referrals to First Nations, and all regional districts do that process. So Oliver does it, although they're not required to, they do that process because of their planning contract. And the same with Vernon, we contacted Vernon as well. They're in the same component. West Kelowna, we unfortunately did not hear from before council. And that's where we're at this point. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I do remember in my past duties as a councillor prior to this term, there was a number of occasions where we were looking at circumstances that you described, where we made referrals. So in those circumstances, we would have done so, in the Greenfield thing and big OCP changes and so on. So whether we received a response or not is another thing. CAO?
I think the difference is when it's on a development on a private piece of private property.
Okay, that's the key. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Barkwell.
If I may, have a couple of questions regarding this letter. I've gone through it carefully. It begins with that it says that the proposed development is within the vicinity of Octopus, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then it says later that it falls adjacent to Octopus. Do we know where this Octopus is?
Mr. Mayor, no, we don't have that identified.
Okay.
We did check the inventories for archaeological features. We have access to that as a local government, and there isn't any known archaeological features on that site.
Yes, I'm familiar. There is a process, maybe not all council is aware, that there are identified archaeological spots, and then a circle is drawn around them. And then anytime you do work in those areas, then you're required to have a consultation process. And there was obviously none in this area previously. Another thing I would like to point out from the letter, in case anybody reading it and thinks that it's correct, it says that the current water supply for the city of Summerland is not well equipped to handle an increase in population. And just by coincidence, I came across this today, water facts. Summerland has sufficient water for the foreseeable future given typical snowpack, precipitation, weather patterns, and consumption. So we have lots of water in Summerland, and I don't know where they got their information from.
Just to add to that, Councillor Barkwell, I think the information may be based on, prior to our Raising Thirst Dam. I think, we vastly increased our capacity when we raised Thirst Dam,
So
at great cost, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact. So we're in much better shape, but that doesn't mean we still don't, look at conservation efforts and best practices for water use, et cetera. Councillor Carlson.
I have a question in regards to the OCP and the process that's undertaken. So when a neighborhood, lower town plan is created and is brought forward as a proposal to come to council, as this was back in, the latest date on there is 2008, and this area would have been included as a future growth area, would that have gone to PIB at the time? And is there a bigger conversation than simply this one spot that we're talking about? Because when I look at the OCP in general, I see more of it might be a larger conversation than just Banks Crescent, and I'm wondering if PIB has seen this information before, prior to actual proposal, and if it's something that is common in every municipality. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. So there's the OCP review the OCP has many layers. One being the neighborhood plan layer, which is a more finite component to the official community plan than the overall plan. Normally, these types of items would be incorporated into an overall OCP review, and that looks not only at just the known archaeological sites, but the potential for archaeological sites. And that component wasn't included in the last OCP review. So there may be an opportunity in the future to do a little bit more detailed inventory and work with local First Nations on refining that inventory. But that doesn't mean we need to wait until then to continue to have conversation, to communicate, and to work to have a closer relationship with our local First Nations groups.
And
CAO, did you have a comment?
Just on exactly what Mr. Strachan just said, it's a complex issue to discuss the level of referral for building permits and rezoning at any level here. And we have been working with this working group to try to sort it out. The working group has been moving slowly. At the working group, as Mr. Starkin said, you've yet to attend one since you've been here, right? A meeting? You haven't yet.
No,
There hasn't
last
been one since you've been
in
here.
March.
So, because it is complex, but I think that as council knows, in the meeting that you did have with the Penticton Indian Band, the desire to start talking. They've been operating with very limited resources themselves. When we do make contact, we very rarely get an answer. Even when we're trying to set up the next council meeting, we've probably asked 10 times now. So we just need to find another way to slowly make some steps and get some better communication going.
And further to that, I think it was this council's intent to have, try and develop better ties with PIB and the First Nations in general. And we made a good effort in the initial portion of our term. And now that there's been a changeover in the council of PIB, there's been that shuffle of people, and we've yet to make good contact with the new chief. The old chief, Jonathan Kruger, is on council, so that'll certainly help. But we were in the process of developing pretty reasonable relationships with PIB. I believe we had 2 meetings with them, CAO? Yeah. So, that we're boding well for future relationships, because Summerland does not have a protocol agreement with the PIB, whereas the city of Penticton does. I'm not sure about the level with the RDUS, but it's certainly something desirable so that you can have good communications and involve each other in each other's efforts in the area. So, Councillor Peak.
Yes, and in addition to that, we've had 2 community-to-community sort of mini conferences, day-long sessions with them as well. And I think that as a new councillor, that's been really important to me, those personal contacts, and there were discussions of water issues and concerns on the first meeting and what we had in Osoyoos, and then we worked on tourism and other aspects of the relationship in the second day-long meetings we had.
Yeah.
So I thought those were very valuable as well.
They're good, Councillor Peak, but so far I believe we've only made moderate progress. I think we've got a long ways to go to develop a full relationship with the Penticton Indian Band, and I think some municipalities, due to proximity or due to the fact that there's a substantial interaction on lands that are very close by, for example, Osoyoos, they've got an excellent relationship that developed over time because of the need to cooperate, particularly on sewer extension, for example. So we're hoping to further consultation and efforts with the PIB. So would someone like to bring the resolution forward that's stated under 11.5 as written? You don't have to read the whole thing out if you don't want to. Councillor Holmes?
I still have a question.
Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
In the letter, it says the city's long-term plans for water use have not been articulated to the PIB. Do we actually even have a long-term plan for water use? Do we know what they're referring to there?
Well, we have our water supply and demand. Actually, we've got lots of full data on the use of water in Summerland with our reports that we've had over the last. We've got a water master plan, for example.
So they wouldn't be aware of that?
Go ahead, Sienna.
There's a potential that they've been received the information. Again, they've had turnover there. I think we will make sure that as Mr. Starkin mentioned, we will be talking to Mr. Pepper and making sure that any of those kind of questions, we would be talking to them about it. And
Okay.
Yeah.
I think whether it's in our policy to refer this matter or not to them, I think they've expressed a desire that they want to be engaged, and I think we should engage them. And I would like to see that we Councillor Carlson's suggestion that we add to the motion, to the resolution, that we add on the list of outstanding items, the engagement with the PIB.
Okay. I don't see any particular problem with that. I mean, even in this particular motion, we talk about, ongoing potential for conversation and so on. But I think you're right.
The problem I have with the resolution as presented is
Yep.
is that it's not specific to this development at all. It's more general, and I think we need to have something specific to the development in the motion.
Mr. Strachan.
If council wishes, they could have a second motion which asks that we continue our conversations with the Penticton Indian Band, and as part of our study and review reporting, when we come back on the other items, that we also include updated information on our conversations and communication with PIB as a second resolution, if you wish.
You like to have that as a second motion then, perhaps?
Either or, it doesn't matter.
Well, why don't we do one and then the other, and can I have a motion to receive, Councillor Boot, and then follow
I
up?
also have a question.
Go ahead, yeah.
I just want, if maybe this is something Linda could clarify for me. I know that we are going to be re-examining and rewriting our subdivision development, all those bylaws. Is there anything in those bylaws currently that talk about the referral process or engaging our First Nations neighbors, whether it's for an OCP or a development proposal of this size, whether it's on private land or not, or adjacent land? Is there anything at all?
I don't believe, and Mr. Johnson could help if he thinks there is. I don't believe there is any, and I think that's the reason that it's not probably is because it hadn't evolved far enough. On all sides of it, it's a delicate situation. There's legal pieces, there's private property issues and different perspectives, and really that was the intent of the working group, was to try to say how we can and working with the province in trying to get some better clarification on what you could include in there. And I think now we're probably, as we're going to enter into that servicing agreement work, we're probably going to have to do some of that legwork on our own and not necessarily be in tandem with the larger group, because we're not making very quick process. So right now, I would say there's not, but we could certainly look at what might work.
Yeah, I'd like to make that request, that in those deliberations and review, that be under consideration as well
Right.
as part of that. I think it's
Okay. Mr. Strachan.
One of the other reasons that you don't see it commonly included directly in bylaws that give direct regulation to works is some of the information is not public information. The ministries do not want you sharing it with the public. They don't allow public access to that information to protect those sites, as well as First Nations groups have their own inventories that they don't necessarily fully share with jurisdictions. And the information, it would be very difficult to have because that information wouldn't be public information. It would need to be in-camera discussion with council and likely be, hopefully be a part of conversations directly on how much could be shared.
But the allowance or having it in the bylaws, what I'm getting
Right.
at, to have that process in the bylaw.
Right.
I'm not
You're talking more
specific-
general, yeah.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. I'm
Yeah.
talking in general
That's-
terms rather than specific terms.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we at here? Should we bring one motion, one motion forward and then a second one? Okay, Councillor Pete, would you like to bring it forward? Motion to receive?
I think, have
I
you
thought
had
we
it?
we had somebody.
Oh.
I'll bring
We
it
haven't
forward
had it.
as stated in the
Okay,
report.
thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you. Any further discussion on that?
This is
The first, as stated here,
fir-
and then we'll have a second motion to satisfy Councillor Holmes's request. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Are you opposed, Councillor Holmes?
No.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous, thank you. Motion carries. Now, the second motion. Corporate Officer, do you have anything written down for us?
Well, I started, but maybe Dean can help me out here, don't you?
So we need to present the second motion in the report, or so there's
No.
one motion to receive,
We received,
and then there's a
Both.
second motion.
We did one, number 1 and 2
Oh,
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
mind.
with that original motion.
That's
Yeah.
And now we'll do an independent motion to add this issue to,
I can propose one.
yeah, go ahead.
So move that the following of an engagement process, the following of engagement protocols with the Penticton Indian Band be added to the list of outstanding items for the Banks Crescent development, something like
Sounds
that.
good. Everybody have, Councillor Carlson, seconder? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you, motion carries unanimously. It's great. Thank you very much. So. Now, do we do-
12.1?
Pardon me?
Are we doing 12.1?
Yeah, 12.1, staff and other reports. Thank
So
you, CAO.
I have to tell council that the title of this is interesting because it's 12.1 says BC Transit new integrated services model and new fare structure. And fares
Spelled wrong.
should be say fair, so we'll see if you think it is fair. So as council knows, we've been working with BC Transit over the past while since council adopted the Transit Future Plan last year. And so this piece of it, it has to do with the integrated fares. And Kaylee's going to walk you through a short PowerPoint, and then we will have some discussion after that.
Thank you. In April 2015, the Okanagan-Similkameen Board and BC Transit decided to set in place the BC Transit Futures program, which consulted with 5 different jurisdictions to come to a new integrated services model for all of the jurisdictions. After staff met with this board over the course of the last 8 months, there was an option that has been put forward to all the different jurisdictions. This report introduces BC Transit's new integrated services model and new fare structure based on the preferred option discussed in meetings of the RDOS's Transit Integration Working Group, hosted by BC Transit's regional manager. And so, excuse me. The purpose of the integrated services plan is to improve the effectiveness, efficiency, and enable better future transit development and a seamless journey across the Okanagan. The New Look Rider's Guide integrates all 5 of the jurisdictions, including the City of Penticton, Town of Princeton, District of Summerland, Town of Osoyoos, and the Regional District of the Okanagan-Similkameen. There is a few minor changes that have been put forward to BC Transit regarding Summerland's schedule, one being the high school after 3 p.m. route change time, which they will take into consideration, and also the name of one stop, which is the Summerland Library, currently the Cultural Center. So there are some minor changes that will be made to that rider's guide.
President Trump.
I get that. He tweets, he doesn't phone.
Someone trying to get in.
Oh, I'll come down and let you in. Okay.
Good thing we're posted.
So the general purpose of the new integrated services model is to create consistency among the 5 fare structures, to minimize change, and to continue to reflect the needs of each region. Based on qualitative, quantitative analysis, as well as input from the community. The fare structure changes that are proposed under the option recommended by staff is a slight change to the Zone 1 or local fare from $2 to $2.25. And the regional fare would stay the same at $4. The other change would be reflected in the 10-pass ticket, which would increase from $18 to $20.25, with the regional 10-pass ticket price remaining the same at $36, as well as a change from $50 for the monthly pass to $45 for the adult fare, Zone 1, and $60 for the adult fare in Zone 2. And then dropping from $50 to $35 for the student and senior rate for Zone 1 and $40 for the student and senior rate for Zone 2. Because Summerland has the highest prepaid passes of all 5 regions, we would see the smallest impact in cash changes. The goal is to encourage passes, so we would see a very minimal change with this integrated services model. And then also to adopt the service design standards and performance guidelines that is put forward by BC Transit.
I think today we're not going into those areas. We're really just talking about the fare strategy today. So basically, in your report from Kaylee, you'll see the difference, the comparison charts, and go from there.
And just pulling up an additional PowerPoint that will show you clearly our ridership numbers from the past 3 years. So as you can see, there has been a slight decrease in the on-request or paratransit ridership from 2013 to 2016. And for the fixed route service, there has been an increase over that time. Taxi Saver is also included in this analysis. And for further background information, there were 5 different options put forward by BC Transit. As you can see, they range for local and regional fares. Option 1, 2, and 3, with the impacts below.
Right now, the option we're talking about is the one that's being brought forward. So if we were looking at any other options, we would have to go back to transit first of all. So this is what's on it. This is option 5 right now.
We are looking at option 5 right now, the last option.
So it's really whether or not you accept option 5, or you go back. We go back to transit and say that Summerland won't participate. As you can imagine, the amount of discussion between between all the local governments working group, which was staff, to get to a consensus was quite lengthy.
Councillor Booth?
Thank you. Thank you, Kaylee. On your slide that shows revenue and ridership, is that based on a monthly fare on a pass? where it shows the revenue, it's pretty much neutral for us with the new fare strategy. Is that chart based on purchases of a pass? Do you know? I can't see it anywhere in the information.
The table 3 that you're referring to, I believe, in the council report is not in the PowerPoint presentation. Is that what you're referring to?
No,
Councillor?
it is actually in the PowerPoint.
Oh.
They're not, the pages aren't numbered. It says potential impacts of new fare strategy, and it's a kind of a multicolored chart. I'll tell you when I see it. Yeah,
Thank you.
right there. Just as you were introducing this slide, you mentioned that the hope is that more people will go to the monthly pass over purchasing,
Yes.
individual fares. So I'm thinking that maybe that's what this is showing, but I'm not sure. Are you able to confirm that?
Yes, the potential impacts of new fare strategy on this slide here for Summerland, which is the second to last row,
Right?
indicate the variance with the $2.25 local fare versus the $2 fare for a day pass, for a ticket, I think.
For a single ticket then? Or for a monthly fare? Maybe that's not a fair question to ask, because I
It's
know that this is not.
This is my understanding that this is the revenues that all the revenues that's collected across the fares.
Yeah, it must be a total.
It's a total of the revenues. And that's why there's differing impacts for different municipalities, depending on what their fare structure is right now. So the net being a very small change for us.
Okay.
Councillor Barkle? Oh, and then Councillor
No, sir.
Rose.
You look a little doubtful still. Do you have
I-
another
I-
question?
Well, no, I don't have
Okay.
another question.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
Councillor Barkle?
Yeah. And I noticed that the Fare Saver ridership seems to have a steady decline. Is there any particular reason for that? Is it sufficiently, advertised or promoted?
Councillor Barkwell, are you referring to the taxi saver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taxi Saver.
Taking the bus?
Yes.
I think maybe Kaylee may be able to answer this, but I think our plan will be to have Daniel come back from BC Transit and do another presentation to council on our different options that we have and the different advertising mechanisms that's really in Transit's court right now. So we will schedule Daniel to come back.
Councillor Holmes?
I'm really excited by this whole thing. I think this regional way of thinking is certainly the way to go. So I guess for the motion, I mean, this only works unless every community buys into it in a way, right?
Absolutely.
So our motion, could we endorse it on the condition that everybody else endorses it? Because, if Penticton isn't interested in this, then it all falls apart, right?
It could be a redundant, I mean, you could definitely do that if you'd like. It would be a redundant motion because it will only go ahead. It won't be
okay.
changed if all of
So
them.
everybody has to.
Everybody
Okay.
has to agree to it, or else it won't go ahead.
Okay. So I just have a couple questions. Well, first of all, I'm happy that we are moving that afternoon schedule, proposing that so students can take advantage of it. I just like to say that it has to be later than 3 o'clock because school's out at 2:59, and as someone who has 2 teenagers at home, I can tell you they don't move that fast. So it'll have to be at least 3:10. But I've just a couple questions about our local service. So BC Transit, as you mentioned, doesn't distinguish between local and regional service on our route, but so we don't actually have the stats for local ridership, right? But they charge. You're still charged a local service. Is that correct?
Councillor Holmes, this analysis you see, it combines the zones, Zone 1 and Zone 2, and it is correct that they don't differentiate between the two, but technically that it's just kept that way in the new rider's guide. So.
But if I were to get on a bus downtown and I wanted to get off at IGA, I would pay $2, or
Yes. Right now, you'd pay $2, and in the proposed strategy, you'd pay $2.25.
so I guess the problem I have just generally, you know, I don't think 3 stops equals a route. I don't think that's, you know, when you look at, you know, if you're taking a local bus route, you pay in Penticton, you'll pay the same amount, $2.25, and you can ride, you know, quite a significant distance, and whereas here in Summerland we have 3 stops, which is considered a local route, and I don't think it kind of hamstrings a bit unless there's future plans to develop that local service. Then we're kind of just stuck with
So that would be
nothing,
a
yeah.
discussion. I mean, it's part of the annual operating agreement, the contract between Summerland and BC Transit. And if council wanted to reduce that $2 and subsidize it with tax dollars, that would be your option. Because that's based on what it costs to operate the service and based on all of their formulas. So that's a separate conversation in that anything that's local, they won't vary from the ratios that they're putting in, one way or another, whether or not it comes from our contribution or from fares is the same.
Okay, but that would require BC Transit to start distinguishing the difference. This is either they distinguish the difference or they don't. And so we're being, you know, we're being asked to make a decision, and we don't have the information to make that, you know, for local service.
But isn't there presently a differentiation? We have 3 stops uptown, and we have
Yes, Mayor,
Trout Creek
there are 3 stops uptown in Trout Creek as well.
and Trout Creek, so
Yes.
4.
Yes.
So there is a differentiation in the rate if you want to come from Trout Creek uptown, or
Yeah,
vice
there's a
versa.
difference in the rate, but we don't know the numbers. We don't know how many people use the service locally.
Okay.
We have no idea because they don't tell us.
And just to that, Councillor Holmes, BC Transit is willing to consider requests from each municipality for additional stops in requesting an additional stop in Penticton by the, you know, just for an example. But they would have to take that to their board.
But I also, just further to Councillor Holmes' point, I think we would, we can table this to next week. I haven't been totally involved in the last little while on this, so I can't answer it, but it may be that they have stats that we don't have here. So I would hesitate to say that it's BC Transit that doesn't have the information. It might be in what we've brought forward here. So we can definitely, and there is still time in the timelines that if it was important, we could bring it to you.
I don't think we need to table it. I just like to know going forward if we want to do something locally, it might be a complete waste of time. But unless we have the information, unless we know what we're dealing with, then we can't make any decisions about any local service.
Right.
You know, we need to know what.
And Daniel does have that information, and I have mentioned to him in the past that council is highly interested not only in this transit future plan of expansion, but in our own local network. And he's very willing to speak about it when he comes on what the numbers look like and what the costs would look like. So we can add that to his presentation.
Councillor Boot first, and Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think three things, two that might address Councillor Holmes's concern. When Mr. Pizarro came to us at the RDOS, he did have ridership numbers, and they're pretty good for Summerland still. He also pointed out that even with the $2.20, the proposed fare increase to $2.25, the cost per rider it's heavily subsidized. It's
Very heavily.
way less. It's way less than that. And the third thing is that we can look, because I believe Mayor Waterman asked this question, we can look at adding another stop, but that's not part of this phase. Am I correct there, Mr.
I think so. We talked about a stop perhaps at the research station.
Yes.
There to pick up, because that's an
So I
automatic.
don't know if that helps.
I just want the
But that's-
numbers. I just want the numbers.
Yes, we'll get
Yeah,
the
well,
numbers.
I know, just off the bat, in the first year of operations, BC Transit was able to tell us that the uptake here was very quick and very high compared to, say, Ladysmith, which also started about the same time. So I think looking at the numbers that we've had from what we've seen tonight, they have jumped up nicely since and I think the uptake has been good. And my opinion overall is, and this is where it's really tough to get to where I want to go, and that's additional timeframes, like an evening and a weekend. If we can do that, I swear that the numbers will just jump through the roof, because we're enough of a population here, we're close enough that I'm sure there will be tremendous uptake when the routes or the timeframes are enhanced. But it's difficult for BC Transit to move that quickly, because they're talking like a 3-year timeframe before they really get to that area.
I think that we will get the numbers, and we do have the numbers, and we have the percentage per capita, et cetera. It is the cost that has been prohibitive. It has been, we have talked magnitudes of hundreds of $1,000s to bring in one extra route, but that's the conversation we can have when Mr. Pizarro's here, because he's got, that is their end of things. So
Okay.
we will schedule that.
Sounds good. Councillor Peak?
Well, I certainly agree to further analysis, and the numbers of the ridership makes a difference in, in understanding it. I make note of the fact that there's a 90-minute, I believe, transfer, so you could actually get out and do some shopping at a grocery store and get back on the bus and use a transfer, which is a help. But the numbers would certainly bear out some other discussions. I also make note of the fact that when I went to Okanagan College strategy meetings, they spoke about the fact that the transit service is something that they look forward to being an opportunity for the college, and that the network being usable throughout the valley and the endorsement by all the communities is important to them as well.
Yeah, for sure. Councillor Holmes?
Sorry, I just also want to ask a couple questions about the Kelowna service. I think that's quite exciting. Though I note it's on Mondays only. Would that just be to start with? Would that be the plan, and why Monday?
Thank you. We haven't had the opportunity to discuss Kelowna in these particular meetings. It's just about the redistribution of the expansion or the redistribution of hours with this current service, not the expansion. But that can certainly be passed along to Daniel.
So, yeah, so they're looking at doing a greater integration up the valley so it should be more often than Mondays once it's integrated, but those discussions are upcoming.
Okay, and just one final question. When do these proposed changes supposed to take effect?
Implementation is targeted for the beginning of July, with all jurisdictions accepting the new integrated services model by mid-March.
Okay, Councillor Peak?
And how long do they stay in force, these particular, if they're passed along by everyone? Like, is it a year, or do you review it in a year, or this was a 3-year, whatever?
The transit contracts are always 1 year, so there's that possibility that they would be revisited on an annual basis.
Thank you.
Okay. Would someone like to bring forth a resolution or a motion, please? Councillor Holmes?
Thanks.
12.1.
Move that council endorses BC Transit new integrated service models and new fare structure as presented.
Seconder, please. Councillor Barkville, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, 12.2.
So we'll have Mr. Johnson introduce this one.
Okay.
All right, before you is a proposed event requiring a road closure in October for a Halloween parade. That would be along Main Street and Victoria Road, as noted on Schedule A. Just a small correction in the information in the proposed resolution is that the event will be on Saturday, October 28th. And the start time will be from 3 p.m. till 6 p.m.
So just for clarity because it's the resolution, October 28th where it says October 29th and 3 instead of 4.
Correct. So the application was circulated to RCMP and the fire department for comment. No concerns were raised, just that the fire department requested that a 6-meter passageway be maintained through the area during the event, in the event that emergency vehicles need to pass through. So yeah, as noted, Schedule A shows the event location and the proposed road closure. And staff support the approval of this application and will work with the event coordinator and organizers to ensure that the proper barricades and signage are in place as proposed.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Peak.
Yeah, I had a question, if I may, to Mr. Johnson. It's closed from Kelly through to Victoria. And I wasn't clear where the marshalling point was, because is it at the high school and they're coming out and going on to Maine, or?
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Dave Simpson, the organizer, is in the crowd here. Yeah, so it would be closed just on this side of Rosedale Avenue.
I think it's very exciting. Halloween.
Councillor Carlson.
I will move that a special event temporary road, sidewalk, or parking stall closure application to close Main Street from Kelly to Victoria and Victoria from Main to Jubilee on October 28th from 3 to 6 p.m. as requested by Dave Simpson to hold the Halloween 17 parade be approved.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Boot, thank you. Any further discussion at all? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries.
Find your costume.
Kids only.
Kids only.
Be a big kid.
No.
Who says I am?
Okay, 12.3, the 217 FCM conference.
Right, as we mentioned to council last council meeting, the registration wasn't open yet, so we tabled this item until registration opened for FCM, and it is now open, and this is just looking to determine whether, as per policy, any councillor or mayor will be attending.
I think, one of us or two of us should be going. I don't know what Councillor Peak?
I think it would be a really a benefit for the community if you were able to go to this particular conference.
I think I'm going to try. That's the 31st or June 1st. Yeah, I may have to get permission, seeing as how it's the 30th is my wedding anniversary of May.
It's 2 days to celebrate.
You'll be all right.
2 days
You're
to celebrate.
celebrating a long
31
time.
days of May.
Okay, yeah, sounds like it's a good idea to move from the UBCM caucus and the mayor's caucus to that meeting as well, as far as I can see. Any comments here?
Especially, I think right now the FCM has introduced a fairly aggressive program with grant program for green climate initiatives, of which it could be up to 80% funding, both for our proposed streetlight project and or potential streetlight project and our solar project. The advocacy for that, the timing will be very good because we'll have an application in for that. And also with the work on the infrastructure grant funding, the more representation from British Columbia, probably the better.
Especially where Summerland is sort of moving strongly in some of the climate change efforts, like our solar farm potential. I think might be good. So, looks like it might be going to Ottawa. Someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Carlson, thank you.
So is that
I will move that Mayor Waterman be authorized to attend the 2017 FCM conference and trade show in Ottawa from June 1st to 4th, 2017.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Peak, thank you. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, 12.4. Joint project.
We'll have Mr. Deniger just provide this, just for a little background information for council.
Yes, so just wanted council to be aware that the District of Summerland is working with the Municipal Insurance Association and their partners on updating what's referred to as the core building bylaw, which is basically a template used by all MIA members, all municipalities, for their building bylaw to ensure that there's some commonality in the risk and the management of those. The reason for this is that the Building Act came into effect in 2015 with a phased-in approach to the changes of the regulatory system in BC. One of the big ones is Section 5 of the Building Act basically states that anything that's regulated through the Act or building code regulations at the provincial level will make anything that municipalities have in their local bylaws null and void on December 31st. They'll have no effect at the end of this year. So we'll want to make sure our building bylaw meets with that new Act's requirements. Make sure we're not stepping on the province's toes.
So can I just say a couple words further about
Go
this?
ahead.
So at my recent conference with the chief administrative officers, we spent quite a bit of time talking with the developers from the province of the new Building Services Act or regulation. And we cannot underestimate how much impact this new Building Act is going to have on municipalities our size, the amount of training. We're very fortunate we have building inspectors to the level that we have right now, and how much of our current regulation in place will be null and void if we have anything that supersedes the code or the act, then it will no longer, you won't be able to put your own, if you have green initiatives or you have sprinkling regulations, that can't be customized. But it is exciting for us to be able to be the leaders and as Jerry mentioned, in getting a bylaw that's right from the start and that people will follow. But there was a lot of talk about it at the meetings too, that this will be a really good start. It will save us a lot of doing our own development. And it'll give our building inspectors and Dean's department, and to some extent the others, just something to really work with as this is implemented. We'll have the support there.
Good. Sounds good. Okay. Someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Holmes?
I'll move that the report from the Director of Corporate Services regarding the Joint Project Core Building Bylaw update dated February 27, 2017 be received for information.
Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you. Okay, any further
Could
discussion?
comment?
Yes, Councillor
Yeah,
Holmes.
I just think that I appreciate staff for showing leadership in this respect, and I think it puts Summerland in a great light. You know, being there's kind of the reference point for all different municipalities across the province. You know, I think it's a good. It looks good on the community. So appreciate that.
Thank you. Councillor Peak.
I have to say the same thing. When you do a pilot project, and this was started by staff when they went to a conference, I have to congratulate them on the opportunity they made available to us.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Did we have a seconder on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. None opposed. 12.5.
Ms. Deniger will speak to that too.
So this report is basically a follow-up of the one from the previous regular meeting, and we'll continue to bring these forward as we receive more pages for the petition regarding the application to amend the OCP and zoning on Banks Crescent. So we did receive on the 14th when the regular meeting was, but we didn't have time to get that into the report. So we received 10 additional pages of the written petition, which is summarized in Schedule A of this report. As well, we did receive another 2 printed out pages from the online petition from sensiblesummerland.com. Those have also been added into the Schedule A of the report. So those numbers in the Schedule A are the grand total of everything received so far. So simply for council to receive this.
Thank you. Council, bring that forward, please. Councillor Peak, as written.
I'll bring the resolution forward as
Thank
printed.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. None opposed. 12.6, still got.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to speak, there's not much to say about this one.
Yeah, it's simply a requirement of the Southern Interior Local Government Association that this special resolution be received by council before the deadline.
Good, okay, thank you. Councillor Holmes?
You know, I know, like every society in the province is going through this process right now, making the change. A lot of organizations are taking the opportunity to change their constitution and bylaws, whereas others are just simply moving their existing ones over into the new process. Do you know if Silga has made any changes to their constitution and bylaws, significant changes that? Because it's not really, you can't really tell just by reading the report.
We wouldn't, because staff generally doesn't look into anything on SOGA, but we could if you
That's
want.
all right.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
ask.
Yeah.
I'll ask myself.
Okay. Someone like to bring that forward? Councillor Carlson?
I will move the proposed special resolution by the Silga for replacement of the Silga Constitution and bylaws be received.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Barkle? Okay, all in favor? Motion carries, none opposed, thank you. Okay. 14.1, bylaws, local sanitary service area. Who's taking notice? Mr. Johnson? Or you?
No, I'll give it to Tricia.
Okay, sorry.
I just asked me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These bylaws this bylaw is on the agenda today. It was brought to council at the last meeting where the petition was received, and so it's simply on the agenda today for council's consideration of first 3 readings.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Council? Nope. Yeah, it's just a single family is trying to, wants to be on. Okay, someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Boot?
The council passed the resolutions as written pertaining to 11722 Prairie Valley Road.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson? All in favor? Motion carries, none opposed. Thank you. 14.2, Landry Crescent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As noted, we have an OCP amendment and zoning bylaw application for 2810 Laundry Crescent. The application is to change the density provision by changing the OCP designation for this property. It is a remnant piece that the applicants are seeking to change over to allow for single-family development versus 2 duplexes, which would have been the original proposal for this parcel of land. As you can see in your package, it's on a transition edge in the OCP. So the portion to the south of it is a lower density component. The portion to the north of it is the medium density component. So it fits with the form and character of this section of land. And it's actually not going to result in a reduction of density per se, but it's just going to change the format from 2 duplex units to 4 individual units. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Councillor Peak.
If I remember in the report correctly, the assumption is that you get the same number of units if in fact the single-family dwellings took on a carriage house or some form of secondary unit.
That's correct.
And if I may, part of the presentation letter from the agent was that there hadn't been a lot of sales in the duplex area, or in the duplexes in the area. They hadn't moved forward as the hope was. And I'd like to make a comment that they went into receivership and really weren't finished until more recently. So that remains to be seen how fast they'll move now that they're finished.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes?
So yeah, just following up on that. So the way it's zoned in medium density, you'd be able to put 4 units on, and then you rezone it to low density, you'd put 4 units on. So I just don't quite follow.
Yeah, the zoning is more related to format. So you can see the multifamily components or versus a single-family component. So it's just a different housing format that's coming into play here.
So same numbers, but duplex versus single housing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Peak.
Yes, I may note that in the 2011 created by subdivision, that there's certain things that are inherent in that, and there's a statutory right-of-way, a walkway, restrictive covenant relating to the riparian values of the property and a utility easement. Would those still survive in downzoning?
Mr. Mayor, yes, those components, those provisions would remain in place and would also carry through as provisions through the future subdivision to create the 4 single-family lots. Those provisions would carry through onto those new titles for those new parcels.
Thank you.
Councillor Carlson.
Would turning that single medium residential lot and having 4 parcels on it then allow 4 docks to be built straight off the end of it? As opposed to 1?
I'm not sure of the provisions that are in place related to those covenants, but there's a public walkway component across the front. I'm not sure if that would hinder their ability to have docks.
But likely, they would apply to front counter, and they would come to us for a referral. Council could deny it, but there would not be a guarantee that front counter wouldn't then deny it.
That's BC, front counter.
Front counter services, BC.
Yeah. Councillor Carlson.
So, just to follow up to that, the proposal is to turn that single lot from medium to low, and then is there a further step to create separate lots within that? Is that the next step in a process to subdivide that lot?
Yes, there would need to be a subdivision completion. We have a subdivision application in process. That subdivision would have to carry forward to completion.
But just to be clear, subdivision doesn't come to council for approval. So
Right.
council
So
wouldn't
that-
have another
Right,
step.
so we see one big piece, which is currently zoned medium. The request is to zone it low in order to split it up into 4. But the one next door is a single medium density, 2 duplexes.
Yeah, this particular parcel is
Not
on the
close
breaking
to-
point between where we have multifamily and then to single-family lots.
Right,
So the portion to the southeast is single-family lots.
okay, thank you.
Just to throw a little history in there, the intent with this development when it was first proposed between 205 and 208 was that there would be a minimal number of docks, but it was extremely difficult to try and enforce. We ended up with more docks than what was originally we thought we might end up with. But I'd sure hate to see, 4 lots, 4 additional docks in there would, the riparian issues either in the immediate, from the lake shore up, is it 15 meters or 30 meters that were applied in that particular site for the riparian distance?
It's 30 meters.
It's 30 now, okay. Okay, so, but there's also issues around into the actual lake area itself in terms of disturbance, isn't there?
There are riparian provisions, yes.
Yeah. Because as soon as you put a dock in, you're ending up doing dredging and so on, and that is a real problem. And we have provisions along the lake shore there with regard to certain species at risk and so on.
But that would be what that would be the approvals of front counter BC.
Okay.
That includes fisheries and environment.
I see.
That's
Okay.
part of their umbrella there.
Okay.
Excuse me, I know I'm not supposed to say something, but it's my application.
Okay.
Just quickly on the conversation of the docks are built and in place.
Well, there's already docks there.
There's a 17-slip marina dock facility that's being built for the entire property, and it was undertaken by the developer that built the duplexes. So we have the lake
Thank you.
charges in place for the property that's currently under application. So the docks are built, approved, and all signed off and done.
Okay, thank you.
That's helpful.
Okay. Okay, moving ahead. So, council, would someone like to bring a motion forward? Councillor Peak?
I'll bring the motion forward regarding 2810 Landry Crescent as presented.
Thank you, seconder. Councillor Carlson, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Holmes?
No, I just think that this makes sense. I mean, we're moving into these is sort of housing that people are looking for. I think there's a lot of demand for the smaller detached housing. It's much more attractive than duplexes, and I think that's this is a nice solution to
Probably
what's
in
been
that
something that's
area
been stuck there.
particularly.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Excuse me. Not in very good shape up here. Okay, council reports, starting with Councillor Barkwell.
Okay, let me look at my notes. I attended a meeting with the school board and the district PAC where they discussed their strategy, the results of their strategy consultation sessions. It's kind of interesting, and there's Summerland people there. Let's say making sure, looking out for Summerland's interests in this whole process. That was good to see. And then I'd like to remind people, I think maybe this is a second reminder, that there's a museum AGM this on the 11th at the new cultural center at 1 o'clock. People interested in historical items should come and have join in. $12 to be a member and get a vote, and maybe have a tour of the new or the remodeled museum while you're down there. And that would be it for me.
Councillor Booth?
I attended the solar forum, which, as we know, is well attended, very interesting. Earth Week, we had another meeting this past week, and that is going along nicely, and it will be a full week, 6-7 days anyways, with all kinds of different things going on. I just wanted to mention, Councillor Peak reminded me of this, that the RDOS is having another community-to-community forum, and it's to do with sustainable agriculture. It will be between the RDOS and Okanagan Nation Alliance, which of course includes the Penticton Indian Band. That is scheduled for sometime in the second quarter, so that'll be fun. And special request of our mayor, as you're attending FCM, I couldn't help but notice that there are a number of events and tours related to sustainable agriculture in the Ottawa region. I would really appreciate it if you could attend or get extra information on that as we look towards a regional food system in northern Ottawa. Thanks.
Councillor Carlson?
I don't have anything to report tonight.
Councillor Holmes?
I'll take Councillor Carlson's time.
No, it's okay. You can.
Councillor Carlson neglected to mention, I joined her and Councillor Traynor at the Hindu temple service 2 Sundays ago. And it was, and they gave us lunch afterwards, and it was fantastic. And it's a quite an interesting community. That, you know, I learned it's the only Hindu temple between Calgary and Vancouver. It's the only Hindu temple in the BC interior, and so people come from quite a distance here every week to attend their services. So I'd like to thank Councillor Traynor and her mother, Mary Traynor, for organizing that. There was quite a few people from the community who were there. So on this past Saturday, I also went to the One World Festival in Penticton. There were 24 cultures represented there, including food vendors and information booths, merchandise, and our Syrian refugee families from Summerland were participating in that event. It was extremely popular. It was really well attended. It was organized by the South Okanagan Immigrant Community Services, and I intend to talk to them to see if they would hold a similar multicultural event here in Summerland, because it was a great event and be great for our community too. And I'd just like to mention that last week's Soix broke ground on their new building that they're building on Ellis Street in Penticton, and it's scheduled to open in the summer, and they'll be able to improve and expand their services to newcomers throughout the South Okanagan. Last night, the Summerland Refugee Sponsorship Group, we held a potluck dinner for our 2 refugee families to celebrate their first anniversary in Canada. So they've been here for a year. And with that, our sponsorship of the families officially comes to an end, although they know we're here for them. We're not going to abandon them. And I just like the families will be okay. They've over the past year they've really become integrated into the community. The men are working, it's been the past year has been an amazing community effort. Really, the volunteers, we've had over 100 volunteers and supporters helping these 2 families. So it's been quite a ride. And so I've been asked a lot these days with this anniversary. Do we have any plans to bring in another refugee family? And basically, the short answer is we're waiting for the feds to decide what their resettlement plans are for this year and what their numbers are going to be. Also, this week in Vancouver, different service providers from across BC are meeting to review the challenges and share best practices of the whole process of bringing in the first wave of Syrian refugees and how it was all handled last year. So we'll see what comes out of that, but I think there's certainly enthusiasm, and the mandate of our group is to continue to bring in more refugees. So, and I just want to also add that on last Saturday I attended the AGM for the Arts Council. They elected a really strong board, 14 people on the board, very forward thinking. And I think back to maybe it was 2.5 years ago when I was going around the community talking to different groups about the cultural plan task force that we were planning to set up at the time. And I went to talk to the Arts Council board, and I was talking to 3 people. That was their board at that time. So it's just great to see that the Arts Council's back to being strong again. And the new board, they went straight to work on strategic planning, which Councillor Peak and I attended on Thursday, and they're putting the strategic plan together, and the enthusiasm is fantastic. And I also attended, like I think everybody else in the community, the solar energy community conversation. There's about over 100 people there, I think. And I agree with what everybody else has said, that the organization of that event, the speakers, the information that was presented, it was all excellent. The community is really ready for this. And they want it, and I think it's time to run with it. So.
I think you're right, and I think one of the comments, if I'm stand to be corrected, but isn't Summerland regarded as sort of a premier location for a solar farm as well, in terms of our location and aspects, etc.?
We're doing the sun studies now,
Mm-hmm.
but yes, the preliminary information shows that it's certainly a lot better than any of the other ones, in a better location than the ones in BC that are operating, that are doing okay themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought, yeah. So it's kind of nice to, we're fortunate to have Tammy Rothery really leading the charge on that, so it's been excellent. Councillor Peak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As mentioned, I attended the Arts Council, both their AGM and the strategy meeting. They are an enthusiastic group. They have a lot of ideas. They're looking at how better to use their energies and consolidate the good things that they know they do well, and looking forward to future years that they can increase that capacity. I also attended, as did other councillors, the PVR 10 public meeting at the arena. It was well attended again, along with the other ones, so that I think that we are well mapped out what we need to do on that portfolio, and we'll hope that the water and everything works through well for everyone. I went with Ken Orford, the KVR manager, to a meeting with TOTA, and we were well received. We had good discussions on that in Kelowna. I'd like to reinforce the fact that the solar conversation was a very exciting time for the opportunity, and I believe that the presenters were excellent in terms of the information they gave, and I want to commend Tammy on putting the whole project together. That room was overflowing, and there was lots of good discussion, and people did not want to leave the room. I went to the One Culture event in Penticton, and it was really fun, and you could hardly move in the room. So I think an opportunity to have one in Summerland would be great, and with our creative culture building being available, I think that's a very wise thing to look forward to, and that's something our cultural committee, as it comes and forms and works, will be able to do as well. I attended the high school. They had a wonderful production of Cinderella, and I know lots of people in the community enjoyed that as well.
Good.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have an opportunity for the public to come forward and make any comments they wish to, whether it's on agenda items or otherwise. Can be anything that's on their mind, so please come forward, identify yourself, and as I stated before, you'll have 2 minutes for your presentation, then I'll give you a bit of a warning just before the 2 minutes, so you're okay with that? Thank you.
Short and sweet. Thank you, Council, Mayor, staff, for all your hard work. Sustainability, green, environmental friendly. Those were the key words I heard tonight. And I like to build on that, and I hope that you listen to your citizens of Summerland who want a sustainable, green, environmental friendly town for all the years to come. And I hope you listen to us and not to the developer. Our petition is ongoing, and we have reached the number of 1,230 or something, and it's ongoing. And I hope the citizens of Summerland can make this town the town we want. Doug was talking about all the things that are happening. The staff is working hard, the council is working hard, and we stand for development, but we stand for sensible development. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Doug Wall at 13807 Latimer Avenue. I have a question for the Director of Development Services. Gave a presentation about some of the requirements put forth by Freshwater Fisheries Society. Now, this is a bit of a nuance, but I think I heard the director say that the Fisheries Society was optimistic that a permanent contingency water source could be located. And I think that nuance is important because I had also met with the Fisheries Society who knew nothing about the possibilities of a contingency water source. And that leads me, so I want to get that clarification. If in fact the Fisheries Society, do we know that they're also optimistic about a permanent contingency water source?
Mr. Strachan?
Mayor, I don't believe I used the word optimistic. However,
yeah, you did.
My apologies. So the well source was identified, or two potential well sources were identified through a Golder report from a number of years ago. We asked the applicants if they could provide that report and that background information, along with more details about potential well opportunities. Where those are located, I don't have them on a map at this point in time. We only had discussions with the fish hatchery in that context of whether a well would work as an alternate water source, not any specific well location, nor has the Fisheries Society provided the specifications that they would need for that well yet. So as was noted with council, this is just a means that potentially could work. However, the details of how that would actually play out has not been determined.
Okay. And that leads me to the next point here about, when you're looking for a water source, you'd accurately mentioned that you have to obviously secure the necessary authorizations, look for not only the source, but the quality, the treatment, where you would place a treatment facility. I mean, I imagine that would be quite a long time to actually get that secured. Is it the intent of council to wait until there's a final decision on whether or not there is a permanent contingency water source before we go to a public hearing. Because I'm getting, this is dragging out quite a long time. And I think the process to secure that permanent contingency water source will take a long time.
Okay. I think the situation is such that, you know, we understand that the information so far leads us to believe that there's possibilities, so the developer and freshwater fisheries have to come up with information that will be satisfactory. And remember that this is a complex project, it's a big project, and it does take time to get through all the processes, regardless of whether there's specific issues or not. A project of this magnitude does take a significant amount of time to have all issues examined. So, you know, I think at this point in time, it is looked at that we would want to have that satisfied, and before any work could actually proceed, the wells would have to be in place, monitoring strategies would have to be developed, and so on. So, you're correct. I don't believe it takes as long as what you would think, but as far as we're concerned, we want to see that the source suits freshwater fisheries appropriately for their needs, and I don't think there's any question that council has brought this forward to be dealt with early as opposed to other issues right now to get to this point. And so in order to make sure it doesn't drag out further, we want to make sure that freshwater fisheries and the developer and so on try and resolve those things, as well as moving ahead on the other aspects that need to be satisfied, say traffic, sewer, etc. So, because we don't want that information to be delayed as well. So now things have to go concurrently in order to save time.
Right.
So you've got 10 seconds, Mr. Wall.
My second point is I sent some correspondence to the district, to Mayor and Council, outlining my concerns about the former Director of Development Services letter in the Summerland review. As I outlined in my letter, I have concerns about how that opinion might give rise to a perception of bias or possible conflict of interest. And I wanted to know whether or not council was going to respond to my letter.
Okay, at this point, as you're probably aware, Mr. McIntosh's letter was done within the realms of being a private citizen. It is not, to our knowledge, there's no indication from that letter that he was using any information that was in camera, for example. That would be our concern. And so as a private citizen, he's quite free to make his comments, whatever they might be, for or against or balanced or whatever. So if it was felt that he was using information from an in-camera session, then the city would be very concerned. So at this point, though, as a private citizen, he's free to do what he wants. Okay, thank you. Anybody else, please? Yes.
Evening. My name is Eric Tate. I live on Solly Road. Mr. Mayor, Council. Two quick questions. First of all, Councillor Peake, you raised the issue of an independent third party being involved in this kind of situation where information, you have two sides to it. But I'd like it to understand that in this situation, it is the trout hatchery that will have the last word on whether or not this water source and monitoring is acceptable.
I think that's the perception right now, that we will, as our discussions move forward, they'll be fully involved in those discussions, particularly between the freshwater fisheries and the developer.
And they will have a veto. In other words, if they're not satisfied with the well or they're not satisfied with the monitoring,
I think those decisions,
accept their veto.
Ultimately the decision will be up to council based on the information we receive. That's essentially what has to happen. We receive all the information prior to a public hearing, and then that information is considered. And I don't have any problem with the information coming forward to council, and council will be considering the information as presented to us. Councillor Barkwell.
I think you're asking something that we can't provide you. The council cannot abdicate its responsibilities and to say that we would give the fisheries representatives a veto on the project. It's our decision. We have to respect their opinions, and you know we will.
With due respect, Councillor Barkwell, that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking whether you're going to give the fishery a veto on the project. I'm asking you whether you're going to give the veto, give them the right to veto the solution that LOC has come up with, and listen to it. Because, quite frankly, if you don't, and there's an issue following on from that, the responsibility is going to fall right there with you. But could I move on? I
Okay, I
think
just
you've
want to
answered my
quickly respond to
question.
that, because I think what's been obvious so far is that there's good discussions occurring between freshwater fisheries and the developer. And I think there's nothing wrong with that kind of decision, not decision, but
I hate to
discussion.
disagree, Mr. Mayor, but that is absolutely incorrect. And if you wish to talk to Mr. Gergen about that, you might get a different perspective on it. The reason why the fishery refused to deal with the developer and required that it be handled by the district is because of information that was being put out into the public which did not reflect, for example, the fact that it was 100% safe. They would guarantee that there was no problem with the wells. Was not what fisheries was saying to the developer. But that's what was going out into the press, and fishery did not accept that. So, could I just move on? My main question really is about the Penticton Indian Band.
Okay, well, you have just a few seconds less.
Thank you. It's, sorry? Could you, it's difficult. Sorry. It's headed from the Natural Resource Department, and it's called an Office Review Rejection, and it's copied to the Minister of Aboriginal Relations, the Minister of Forests, the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, and in addition, Mandel Pender, who's a barrister and solicitor. Quite frankly, I think you are totally underestimating the significance of this challenge. And I believe that you should put this ahead of the list. The fishery may be number one, but this should be number two on your list of issues to be resolved before you move on to anything else. And I say that because if you look at paragraph 3, it says the proposed activity directly impacts a specific claim submitted in December 2011. And again, it references 2015. This is a lawyer's letter. This is not a polite invitation to come for tea and a chat. And if you don't see it as a shot across the bows, you soon will, I would guarantee. So I'm asking council that to perhaps put more emphasis on this and take a very close look at what it's saying. I don't agree with what Councillor Barkwell is saying. Perhaps they've read all of the literature on water supply that's within LOC's own application, because there is one section, I forget the report, which says that if you go ahead with this development, there's a strong possibility that Summerland will have to upgrade its water supply system in order to meet the commitments that you already have, which doesn't exactly fit with what you're saying, Councillor Barkwell.
Thank you for your comments. Next, please. Just to let you know, sir, I did allow you to go a full minute and a half over what I'd specified, so being pretty generous. Thank you.
Oh, yay.
Next. Yeah, thank you very much.
Donna Wall, I live at 13807 Latimer. My first question, and these are both very short questions, they'll take less than a minute each. I hope to get answers. First question is, why doesn't the developer have to pay for all these extra studies? Very straightforward question. Why should we be footing the bill? He's the one wanting to develop. He should be paying the cost.
Okay, I think I'll let CAO.
Dean can start and
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, the extra studies that are being requested are at the developer's cost.
It was said just earlier tonight that
the extra studies are at the developer's cost.
The extra studies that are required are at the developer's cost. We sometimes will seek third-party review of the documents. So if they do the study work, but in our review, if we don't have the specific technical expertise in-house, or we want a technical issue reviewed on our behalf, we'll bring in another professional to review it. But the studies and the review components listed in the report would be prepared by consultants at their cost.
Okay, thank you. My second question is regarding the Penticton Indian Band. Why did it not get mentioned in tonight's meeting that the Penticton Indian Band is against this development?
Well, it was certainly brought forward as part of the information that was available to council and to the public.
The letter was attached, the letter was part of the report that council was discussing today. So that was the item that was on the agenda.
Thank you.
Terry Green, 5709 Century Street. I have just one question, and I think it's directed sort of individually to each of our members of council and mayor. And what I've heard over the last several council meetings that I've been attending is that there seems to be a significant amount of energy and effort being put in to promote the acceptance of the developer's proposal. What I'd like to know is, you know, for the benefit of the people here who have some I believe, legitimate concerns, what would be the criteria or circumstances for council to decide that this proposal would not go forward? Because all I'm hearing is that we have, it looks like this and this and this and this will allow and permit the development to go forward. We have a lot of people who seem to be very much opposed to that. What are the criteria that perhaps we should be seeking out that would prohibit this proposal from proceeding forward? Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll stay at the lectern. You may want to continue. I think to respond to you, council's dedicated to the process. We did first reading, and second reading indicates that we would like to receive more information, more complete information, because information is not developed initially prior to anything ever taking place. A developer has to bring the request forward. It receives first reading. If it receives second reading, then there's more intent to examine more information and more detail. We're in that process right now where we've achieved second reading, and as we see more information and the detailed information that comes from various aspects of required aspects for the development, then we have to look at each one of those, and then when we have the public hearing, more people, more information will be available up to the end of the public hearing. And at the end of public hearing, after we've considered all the information, pros and cons, etc., then council will be making their decision. So we're in that process, and council is dedicated to the process and to provide clarity on things. And I think it should be clear. It may sound like some of us are positive, but if some of these things cannot be clarified properly to our satisfaction, then you'll have to see what happens with the vote. So that's the way things go. We are in the process, and that's essentially where we're at right now, is gathering information, moving forward to, at some point in time, having a public hearing. Sorry, go ahead.
Linda Green at 5709 Century Street again. I just wonder why, when the Penticton Indian Band letter was dated January the 26th, it's only coming to council now instead of being presented at the February 14th meeting. I know Canada Post is slow, but that's kind of a long time.
There was a reason, CAO. I think it was a matter of when it came and whether it could be included in the package at the time.
Right, when the letter comes from an agency, it comes to council first before we put it on the website. Council was aware of the letter, but this was the first council meeting that we had, that we could write a council report in its regard and bring it. There's letters from agencies that come at various times, and we make every effort to get it on the agendas as soon. I think in this particular case, it arrived, we received it shortly before, a week before the agenda, was before the council meeting. The agenda gets published 4 days before the meeting, so it was put on this as the next meeting.
Okay, but it was my understanding from the last council meeting that council members only got the information package half an hour before the meeting, so.
That's not true.
Well, they seem to say
Maybe
that they
some
hadn't had,
aspects of the package were
hadn't
late,
had any
perhaps.
time to peruse it. Anyway, okay. The other thing is, how can we have confidence in professional engineers when we look at the problems experienced by Tuscan Terraces right now, which presumably that development was signed off by a professional engineer? And if the developer is paying for these reports to be done, there is at least the perception of bias. I would like to see totally independent engineering reports paid for by the developer, but assigned to a company that is independently vetted by the council or the staff.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Art Dronkers, and I have a question for Mr. Strachan.
Just a moment, please, Mr. Jonkers.
Excuse me.
CEO?
Well, we can see who the question
Okay.
should be answered by.
No, sorry. It was
yeah.
something that you in
Yeah,
particular
you direct it
mentioned.
to us, and then we'll direct
I'm
it to
sorry.
whoever staff member is able.
The words were used, well service as alternative source. My question is brief. What do I need to think of when I hear the word well as an alternative source? Is it literally drill a well somewhere in another aquifer to find flowing water? Is it, just help me understand that better.
Mr. Strachan?
Yeah, drilling a well is what's proposed. The technical component of it, that's what we need to have reviewed and to have received an engineering report on. All we have at this point is the original reports that were done by an engineering firm, Golder and Associates. We need a lot more details on location, all the other components as far as the water itself, the quality and quantity, would be forwarded to the hatchery. But at this point, we don't have that specific information.
Okay, no, fair enough. But of course, drilling a well on the same artesian aquifer might not be such a good idea. So the point being, it may sound simpler than it is. That was my question. Is is it actually a well somewhere, and then you'd have to pipe the water or whatever. But you don't have that information then.
No, and as was noted,
Yeah,
it is a technical process and does require some careful consideration.
Okay, then the second brief question is the reports you mentioned from Golder. Are they public? Can we get a copy of them?
Once I have copies of them, we certainly would post that as part of our information package. I would expect that it goes on the website, but I would expect that they would be a supplemental document to the engineering report that would be done for the specific wells. So there would be components of those reports. So any relevant information would be reintroduced into the new reports.
And any timing on that, or?
The timing on those components are with the applicant at this point.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
Peter Patton, I live at 13607 Latimer Avenue. I was interested in your open house, on page 3. You talked in the clay banks being generally stable. I don't know about you, but general to me means it could, it couldn't. The other thing is that you said that the current houses, current buildings, are stable. It says nothing at all about future buildings. Now, I'm only thinking it I'm a taxpayer. If you're taking this as gospel, you're talking about their report saying it's something that's stable now. It doesn't say anything about the future. And as a taxpayer, we could finish up paying millions if this thing all goes down the drain. Because you're talking about their report says it's generally stable, and it says that it is. You're talking about current buildings, not future buildings. And that's what I wanted. Why are you talking about current buildings when we're talking about development? Sorry?
Is there anybody else like to make some comments?
There's no answer.
Why is it talking about generalities? That's not the state. No one's actually saying this. It's generally stated.
Okay, thank you, sir. Pardon? Okay, I think we've pretty much reached the end of our time frame. One more, and that's will be it. Thank you for this evening.
I didn't intend to speak tonight, but I just have a question. My name is Tracy Armstrong.
Yes.
And I'm a property owner and taxpayer here in Summerland. And when you brought up, Council Peak brought up the resolution about asking a developer to pay in the future for some of those expensive studies and reviews and such. I thought that was a great idea. And I'm wondering, is there a way for us to incorporate that now so that from here on in, any time the city needs to do an independent or hire lawyers or engineers to look at or review things that are being proposed by developers, that we can have those costs paid for by the developer from this time going forward? Because I thought that was a really great idea, and if we could incorporate it early, I think it would be helpful to our taxpayers and our budget. Thank you.
So again, to be clear, the majority of reviews and studies, certainly the initial ones, or when we go back to a developer and say, this didn't meet our guidelines, we need this information or this information, that is all paid by the developer. Right. There are many times that we go back, and I'm not talking necessarily this specific one, mm-hmm. This is included, but often we go back and say, this is what your engineer gave us, but it doesn't meet the criteria. Mm-hmm. They are responsible for paying for that. Additional studies, if council says that's great that we have this geotechnical report, but we don't have the confidence that mm-hmm. it's enough, they'll go back and they'll ask the developer to pay more. The piece that does get asked for at times is when we need interpretation of a study and we don't have the expertise on staff to fully, or just there's right. just information or we don't know. There are times. Yeah. So council can have further conversation about where those levels are. To determine whether there would be, if what we have in place is actually what we want. We haven't had that conversation mm-hmm. as a group to determine where those cutoff lines are. So I think council mm-hmm. can have the conversation, but mm-hmm. just to be clear that...
no, I understand that, but I'm thinking that because it is so complex that if we're looking at a developer's engineer's study, this isn't my forte either, obviously, but if they're looking at that study, you almost need another engineer to say that this is enough information, or I'm questioning this part, or we're going to need more on this, right? Because that probably is beyond a lot of council and staff as well. So for those situations where if you have to employ a lawyer or an engineer or some kind of other expensive service for that development to ascertain whether we're going to need more information or whether this looks legitimate or if some of the figures are skewed or whatever, that those also be covered by the developer?
I think that it's complex in what we sometimes ask. It's not an easy answer. We can have some mm-hmm. further conversation with council. We can't give an answer at this time.
I'd appreciate if you guys would consider that. Because I think if we're looking at trying to save dollars here and increase revenues and stuff, that might be just one little area to work on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, questions from, thank you. Questions from the press, please. Yes,
I
Susan.
realize that things are happening fast and furious with the trout hatchery, but will consideration be given in the near future to holding another question and answer period? Because on January the 19th,
yes.
when we had one, the CAO said there would be another one. And then at the next council meeting, it came up for discussion and realized that there was some serious questions about the hatchery, and so everything was sort of put on hold. And that was certainly the understanding then that there would be another question and answer period. And so my question
Okay.
is, when? Or,
Okay, well,
and I'm not expecting
yeah.
a date, but I mean, is
No.
that still?
I would think it's entirely possible. I think it's a matter, at this point, it would be premature, because as was stated earlier this evening, that if we're going to go ahead and concurrently gather as much information as we can and solidify our information, that takes a bit of time, and so that has to be done, and that would be the point to have another Q&A, perhaps when we've gathered enough information. But remember that at some point we also have a public hearing where there's, one of the reasons why we had the previous Q&A was because public hearings don't offer the opportunity for a back and forth. And so it's quite possible that we would have another Q&A, but I think council will have to look at that as we move forward. I'm not saying we won't, but I'm saying that we need to see where we're at in our information process, and by all means, if it's looked at as being an important thing to do, we'll do it.
There's something, actually, a comment I'd like to make, which is to say good things about the staff. Because we certainly understand that the staff is working very hard, and I've had occasion in the past 2 Sundays to realize that staff members have been working on those days.
Thank you. Thank you. John, do you have any questions? Any other, there's another media person in the back, I believe. Any question? No? Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a motion for adjournment, please? Councillor Peak, Councillor Boot, thank you very much. All in favor?